Hello guys, welcome back to TFD. Let's get into this because the temperature around these WNBA players and the CBA negotiations is officially rising. The vibe right now? Frustration. Real frustration. And honestly, it kind of blows my mind. Because tell me this, who gets angry while being offered a 4-time salary raise? Who gets unsettled when the league is literally trying to quadruple the money? It makes you wonder if some of these players truly understand where they stand as a brand and as a sport in the United States. Do you really understand the market you're operating in? Do you really know the demand you're drawing? And someone asked me the other day, well, Project B is doomed if Caitlin Clark doesn't join. And I had to stop them right there. Not so fast. Project B does not live and die based on Caitlin Clark. Would she have helped? Absolutely. She's the most box office athlete in women's basketball. But the reason Project B will probably succeed has nothing to do with the United States. It's because they're playing internationally, where the fever, the passion, the fire for women's basketball is on another planet compared to here. Let's not forget, Russia was paying Brittany Griner $1 million a year 5 years ago. Diana Taurasi, $1.5 million 5 years ago. China's basketball market? Massive. Absolutely gargantuan. Europe, Asia, these regions eat up basketball the way America eats up football. Every country over there has a league. Every country over there has fans. And Project B is positioning itself as a collection of the best women's basketball players on earth, playing in front of audiences who actually show up, who actually care, and who actually pay. That's the difference. Project B is not depending on a massive U.S. media rights deal to survive. Would they have cashed in huge if Caitlin Clark joined? For sure. But their model isn't built around hoping Americans tune in. Their model is built around international consumption, where women's basketball already has a much deeper cultural presence. And honestly, I've got to keep it real with y'all. Since Caitlin Clark isn't playing in Project B, I'm not going to be following it as closely. I might check in now and then to see how Sophie's doing, how some of the Americans are performing, but sitting down and watching full games? Probably not. And I know a lot of American fans feel the same way. But here's the key point. Project B doesn't need us. Overseas basketball is consumed differently. Women's basketball is valued differently. They don't treat it like a niche product. They don't need to ring the alarm every time ratings dip. And that's something the WNBA needs to understand. Over here, we're obsessed with college football, the NFL, March Madness. That's our culture. That's our ecosystem. Over there, they love soccer and they love basketball, men's and women's, full stop. So before anyone writes off Project B, understand the global market, understand the appetite. Understand why these players right now are frustrated and confused in these CBA talks. They want NBA money from a U.S. market that simply doesn't operate the same. And that's the reality. WNBA players still frustrated as CBA talks heat up. I'm going to tell you, it sounds to me like the two sides are getting closer and closer to going into outright war as tempers start flaring. I mean, billionaires have egos. They don't like being told what to do. After a long, quiet year at the bargaining table, the WNBA labor negotiations are heating up. For months, both sides sat in their corners accusing the other of wasting time. Now, it's a prize fight. When one side attempts to gain an edge, the other throws a counterpunch. On Wednesday, it was the Women's National Basketball Players Association's turn after news of the league's proposal, complete with a 7-figure max salary, was reported. Included in the league's proposal, according to multiple reports familiar with negotiations, was players receiving a 50% share of a revenue metric that would not include all revenue and would have expenses deducted. All told, the proposed salary model would amount to players receiving less than 15% of the WNBA's total revenue. According to these sources, as the CBA progresses, that 50% metric would not change. The players believe that ultimately their share of total league revenue would decrease over the life of the CBA. The union has since countered with a proposal requesting a larger percentage of team and league revenue, according to sources close to front office sports. Quote, "We have been very adamant from the jump, very specific about what we are going for, and that's revenue share. Meaningful revenue from all aspects of the business. That's not just league revenue, that's team revenue too. There's a level of frustration because we've started with this, and we can't move forward until we get that to a level where we're comfortable." That's interesting. So they're starting to get a little antsy. They're starting to get a little mad. Frustration. There's a level of frustration, guys. Frustration is anger. That's anger. Tempers are starting to flare up. And what do you do about the players? This is something we haven't talked about. What are you doing about the players who are probably willing right now to accept the 4 times raise? I mean, if I'm an average player out there making an average salary of $500,000 a year, I guarantee you there are players in this league who want this offer accepted as it stands. The league has pushed back against the union's request for salary models similar to those in the NBA and NFL. Sources familiar with negotiations say the league believes that comparison is unfair because it has similar costs but makes far less money. And that is accurate. That's why this doesn't work. That's why they're asking for something that literally cannot happen. The NBA and NFL generate far more revenue than the WNBA. While the league's latest proposal represents a significant salary increase, players are more concerned about a salary model they feel lets owners pocket the lion's share of profits. But what profits? The league has never turned a profit. They lost $40 million in 2024. Go look it up. The New York Post broke that story last year. At the end of the year, it came out they lost money, and the owners were getting pissed about losing money. By the way, quote, "We are saying we bet 6 years from now we will be much better. More money, more revenue, more business than right now. Because of that, revenue share is so important. The mistake is trying to offer money up front, but not being wise about it and not betting on your long-term vision of revenue share being the ultimate goal."
I mean, here's the problem. You haven't turned a profit. That's the whole issue right here. You can't demand something now that the league simply does not have. If you want to ask for this 6 years from now, if suddenly the WNBA is pulling in $100 million in profit every year, then yeah, now we're having a real conversation. And even $100 million isn't some crazy number. That's still small compared to the NBA and NFL. If you start talking $500 million, $1 billion, now we're talking about real money. But right now, that's not the reality. So don't ask for it up front. I get why they're trying. The business is growing. The audience is growing. Interest is growing. And someone said yesterday, well, they're still not going to turn a profit. Actually, they probably will for the first time because they finally have a legitimate media rights deal unlike anything they've ever had before. That's real money coming in. But here's the danger. If these players push too hard, too early, if they get too greedy, and the owners still can't turn a profit, those owners are business people first. They know the numbers better than anybody. And if they look at the books and say, we're still losing money, even after paying 4 times raises, they might just walk away. They might say, you know what, to hell with it. Go play in Project B and Unrivaled. We're done. And then what happens? Because at that point, the league becomes what? A liability, a financial liability. And no owner in any sport keeps a liability around forever. That's just facts. What's interesting to me is how Kelsey Plum is basically going scorched earth right now, making it very clear we're frustrated. Okay, but what do you want people to do? What do you expect? You want revenue share? Earn the revenue first. Honestly, I've said it before, the smartest thing the players could do right now is sign the deal on the table, lock in the huge raises, ride the momentum, and then in 3 years when the opt-out hits, reassess. By then you'll have real numbers, real growth, real profit margins, real leverage. Right now you're asking based on vibes and optimism. And please, don't give me the conspiracy that the owners are hiding money. Stop. That's nonsense. You cannot hide a league that's losing tens of millions of every single year. The math is the math. Tell me what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe.